I've been really enjoying the Fox News talking head fascists crapping their pantaloons over realizing that their fascist movements are being targeted now and treated now in the same way that left movements have been treated throughout the course of American history. Take a listen.
And yesterday, in a separate proceeding, attorneys for the Proud Boys revealed at least 40 undercover informants were doing surveillance on the defendants that day, including 13 working in the D.C. Metro Police.
I'm not sure if that's enough police.
New court documents claim it was those officers instigating the crowd, even yelling, "Stop the steal." So if folks on the left are going to use the events of January 6th as a pretext for labeling and targeting conservatives as insurrectionists, well, guess what? You better give people the full scope of the government's involvement here.
Wait a minute. If we are going to label insurrectionists, we had better take a look at whether, if I'm standing next to someone who is inciting violence and yet I do violence, does because they're inciting violence mean that it's okay that if I do violence, if someone else shows up with a gallows, does that mean I can show up with a gallows and I'm not responsible? And just take a notice what she said about court documents.
New court documents claim it was those officers instigating the crowd, even yelling, "Stop the steal."
New court documents are suggesting this. What kind of court documents are they? Are they the kind that have facts in them, or are they the kind that have allegations?
So if folks on the left are going to use the events of January 6th as a pretext for labeling and targeting conservatives as insurrectionists, well, guess.
I love how she's so insulted by the term insurrectionists. Like when you call an insurrectionist using the actual definition of the word insurrectionist, that is just insulting.
Guess what?
Her tone of voice is super white privilege. Her tone of voice is just privilege. How dare you do to my beautiful Proud Boy people what you do to black people who would have equality. How dare you do the same thing? Send government agents to surveil. Now, whether they sent agents to, incite and bust up, the world may never know because I haven't seen any reputable news organization covering it. I'm Julianna Forlano, Political Voices Network. Thanks for watching.
Republicans say they won't cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. But can honest, hard-working middle-class Americans really believe what these politicians say? Republicans said they wouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. Here's what Supreme Court Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett said during their Senate confirmation hearings.
Roe v. Wade is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. A good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court.
Roe v. Wade. It's settled as a precedent of the Supreme Court.
Roe is not a super precedent, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
Well, we saw how that turned out. They played us for fools. Tell your elected officials to keep their hands off of our Social Security and health care benefits. Fool me once. Let Majority Rule was responsible for this message. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.